Hello, my name is Dave Hoy, and I'm an instructor at Tech Elevator. Today I'm going to be talking about formatting code. It might seem like a pretty mundane topic, but there are actually a number of really useful benefits to formatting our code. First and foremost is readability. We can also use the formatter in our IDEs, our integrated development environments, to actually be one of the first steps in debugging code. We're also going to talk about why it's important to have consistent formatting on a team project. So let's first talk about readability. Here I have some sample sheet music. Sheet music has been formatted this way for centuries. And so this is an example of properly formatted code in some regards. And an experienced musician, without going to a piano or a violin, they can just read this music in their mind, go through it, and they will hear Ode to Joy. This is also Ode to Joy, but very poorly formatted. So I would challenge any musician to have one heck of a time reading through this and sight reading this. So let's take a look at what this means from a code perspective, how this readability comes into play. So here I have a program, a number guessing game, and I've just taken out all of the spacing in this. So it just goes just straight down the left side. It's very, very difficult to tell when one part of the code begins and when another part ends, where the methods are, et cetera, et cetera. Basically just very difficult to read. So every IDE out there has a formatter built into it. I'm using IntelliJ, and to execute the formatter, I use the keystroke Control-Alt-L, and that formats my code for me. And now with the code well formatted, I can start to sight read this without actually having to run the code. I can see that all my methods are one level in, and also my variable declarations. I see here's the method, the main method kicks in here, it's one level in, everything inside of it is at least 2 levels in. And then again, because code's well formatted, I see that this code's indented even further. So it must be code that runs possibly once because of an if or an else statement, or runs multiple times because of a loop. In this case, I look at right above where it indents, and I see, oh, we have a while loop here. So this code can potentially run multiple times. With it being well formatted, I can very quickly scan through and see how this code executes. So let's talk about how we can use our formatter actually for debugging. So here I have a temperature conversion program that's not compiling. At a quick glance, everything seems fine. All my methods are indented one level, et cetera, but I'm getting a compiler error. Like it doesn't like the saying this method's cannot return a value from a method with a void result type, but yet I know I'm returning an int here. So let's use the formatter, Control-Alt-L, and now I see that my methods all indented one level. They should be over here, but they all went in one level. The thing about compiler errors is that quite often where the compiler error shows up is due to a problem further up. In this case, what happens, we see where the indenting goes wrong is right after this closed curly. I can tell from this the fact that this method indented 2 levels instead of 1. I'm missing a closed curly up here. So I can come in here, add my closed curly, format again, and now I have code that compiles and everything formats as we expect. A more subtle problem to find is something like this. So in this case, I have an enthusiastic greeter that's going to say hi everybody 5 times, then hello 3 times. But when I run this code, we'll see it actually doesn't do what we expect just from a quick read of it. Hi everybody only comes out once. So I look at my for loop, I don't see why that's not working, so I'm going to use the formatter. And now I notice that, oh, this open curly came down here, but in our Java formatter, the way it's configured at the moment, the open curly should be on the same line as the for loop. What happened is this semicolon right here came in. This is a very common mistake we see with people when they're first learning how to code. It's very common to put that semicolon at the end of a for loop. We get in that habit of after we close a parenthesis, then we put a semicolon, which basically makes for an empty for loop. That for loop ran 5 times, did nothing, then printed off hi everybody once, and then the code printed off hello 3 times. But now that I've taken that semicolon out and I format again, now it has the format we expect. And when I run it, I'll get the expected output of hi everybody 5 times and then hello 3 times. So again, that's using the formatter to help us debug our code. And lastly, let's talk about using why it's important to have consistent formatting on a team project. Like I say, pretty much everything in software development now is a team project. Software development is a group exercise. So when we when we're on a group project, we use a version control system or a source code control system. And by far the most popular one these days is Git. That's the one we use here at Tech Elevator. Very popular in industry. So let's go back to our number guessing game. And let's say there's a developer, the business user, I'm sorry, has asked for a change to our number guessing game, and they want it to say something different when the user gets the answer correct. They want to have it say, "You got it," instead of "correct." Well, so a different developer than the original developer gets into the code, and they don't like this style of formatting. They prefer different formatting for their code. So they open up the file, and the first thing they do is they format it the way they like it by running their formatter. I'm now in Visual Studio Code. I ran its formatter, and this developer is configured to put all the curly brackets on their own line. Fine. Java doesn't care. This could be just one long line as far as Java is concerned. But then they come in here and they make the change the business user requested. So they change this to "You got it," and they save it, and they run all their tests, and now and everything runs just fine. So all is good. But there is a problem. Git is a wonderful, powerful tool, but it only knows how to compare text files. It doesn't know Java from SQL from a grocery list. It just compares the text in the files and keeps track of what changed. So if we take a look at what looks like what Git thinks changed in this one file, logically, all we changed was we changed "correct" to "you got it." But if I take a look at what Git thinks we changed, again, Git only compares a text file to a text file. So every time that formatter changed the code, it changed the layout, in this case from having number guess game have the closed curly at the end to being on its own line. It thinks every one of those format changes is a difference. And somewhere in here is the real change that we made, but it just gets lost in the noise of a different format. So that's why it's very important on a group project before the project begins to get a consistent formatting style agreed upon across the team, and then use that throughout the life of the project. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.